All right, folks, we're finally live. First podcast I've been able to do, I think, live in a month. We've been so swamped. Um, my gosh, has it been busy? Um, finally, after 2 years of trying to get our termite license, we finally got it. Um, we finally got certified. So now we're a full service pest control company. We're basically uh, GHP, lawn and ornamental, and termite, and we've just been growing. We're still at that 20% pace this year to grow. It's been steady, so I'm excited about that. I got here I've been smoking because I started early, and I said, why not just sit out here? I had to clear my head. I've probably put in 60 hours this week already. Um, have no clue sometimes what time it is. I've been getting up sometimes at 4 in the morning, work here, get contracts out, things, and then hit the road with the new guy training still. We just got a new technician. I had hired two technicians. One didn't make it, so I kept one, and then I'm on the road because it's just growing so much I can't do it with one. It's maxed out. That route is maxed out. There's a new technician can't handle that growth, and my old technician decided he was going to move to Texas and take about a $15,000 a year pay cut because he could probably think he can do better over there. I said, man, you got to do what's best for you and your family. You got to do what's best, what you think is best. This is what am I smoking here? I got this. Um, this is a Pepin Garcia original. I got this at my father's cigar factory in Doral. I went over there, and my fiance, soon to be wife, she loves my father's cigars, and so I went to the factory, and they gave me with a bunch of cigars, cool little lighter. So this is pretty cool. See if you can see that. It's a little grainy because it's dark out here. It's 8 o'clock at night here in Miami. And I've been out here probably for like an hour already, just listening to music, clearing my head. This is the first early day that I got home before 5 o'clock. I got home like around 4, and been out up since 6 a.m. working um, today, and I'm just tired. I'm wiped out. But let me make sure I got the chat open. So if anybody wants to take a look here. Make sure. Oh, no, I lost my chat now. Let's see. Do I want that? No, I don't want that. I don't want that there. In case somebody wants to privately message me. But yeah, so new guy's been training for 2 weeks now. He's on his own, doing basic maintenance. I have him doing basic maintenance, inspecting. The good thing is, he comes with some management experience in landscaping, and he's got landscape experience for over 10 years. So he basically knows plants. He knows what they should look like. He knows what diseases are. He knows what insects. He just never did pest control. So that's the reason I hired him with no pest control experience. And I hired another guy that had no experience, but he made it 2 weeks and then never showed up again. He got upset, just couldn't do anything. So what do you do? I mean, you live and learn, and that's the way life is. Even with background check and conversation after conversation and training and doing our own Pest Geek training program, and doing the online training, which we have with the Pest Geek Academy, which we use for all of our technicians. Uh, it isn't for everybody. This business is not for everybody. So after 2 years of having that goal, finally it took me almost a year to find somebody to sign off on our training license. And then 9 months of being on a training license, 45 jobs later, and took the exam, aced it. Got a 92, 91, I think, on it. Kind of upset I didn't get a higher score about that, but you passed with a 75, so I'm not. I'll take the win. And then we started gearing up already. We already had been gearing up for termite for like 6, 7 months, buying the equipment, getting the van ready. We got the new van on the road. I don't know if you've seen it. I got some pictures on that. It's a Ram 2500. It's got two 25-gallon tanks, a 50 and a 100-gallon, with 3 electric reels, half-inch hose, a 3/8-inch hose, and a 1/4-inch hose for spraying power misting shrubs. It's a beast. 248-inch, full height height roof on that van. That should allow us to do termite and large commercial lawns, because we've all done all our lawns with backpacks, and the most you can do with a backpack is about 4,000 to 6,000 square feet. We've done it for 10 years. I mean, we were doing lawns with backpacks before electric backpacks were available. We've been using electric pumps, I think, for 13 years now, where I got rid of the rig, the gas rig, and I just started using electric tanks, small tanks, with carts and things like that, testing it, perfecting our craft, perfecting our method, our system. It took about 7 years to do that, so we can use micro dosing on everything. We can do between half a gallon to 1,000 to 1 gallon per 1,000 square feet on lawns. We've been doing that forever. It works. We've never had an issue with a lawn. We get an average of, maybe if we're lucky, once a year, one lawn, one issue, once a year on a chinch bug. Never a grub. We've never had a grub issue that I can remember in the last 13 years. So, we've got a system that works, that we created. We have an eco-friendly system. We've got a holistic pest control system. And now, we're looking at opening up in another market. We just opened up Broward, which is, 1.7 million people, the entire county. We went at it with marketing and SEO. We've created over 150 pages of SEO just for that market alone. We've done about 6 press releases now for that market. We're doing 1 press release a week with our SEO. And it's just, bro, it's crazy. I managed to hire an admin after admin / CSR / phone salesperson. So managing all the calls, managing everything. So at the same time that I hired a technician to train, I got to train a CSR. I mean, talk about pulling your hair out. Got no hair. It's just a reality. People are like, well, why don't you just hire one person and then do it? You don't understand, dude. I opened up that market and I prayed for rain, and now it's raining nonstop. We went from getting 140 to 200 calls a month to where last month it generated 500 calls. You can't keep up with the phones, man. That's 25 calls a day on average. Termite is starting to happen. Getting contracts, dealing with printers, all the normal stuff of, like, if you're starting up new with your new business. And then on top of that, I'm looking at expanding into opening another market. I got another tech ready to open up another market that I hired, and he came with 15 years of pest experience, but he has a business degree. He has ownership experience on landscaping, and giving an opportunity to start that. So it's just nonstop. It's just nonstop all day long. I mean, I decided that's it. Last 2 years ago, I decided we're going to grow again, and we're really going to take it off. I'm in a mental state, in an emotional state, in a physical state, that I can do it again. And cheers to you guys. Here's Maker's Mark. Yeah, bro, I started this week off early. It's been a bear. So, we grew 20% last year, 21%. We're on track for 20 this year. I'm pushing it to do more than that. Like, I'm right now handling every single initial service, every single termite inspection, every single uh, reservice that has a problem, which is not many. Um, and I'm basically, I decided, because I have a new technician, because we're entering into termite, because we're doing exclusion work, because I started a new division to do pest intrusion inspection. Um, where companies cannot figure out how that bug is getting in the house. I just had one today. They've had maggots for a month. Couldn't figure out in this building. They have their own pest control company come in. They couldn't figure it out. They called me. I went out there. It took me 15 minutes to figure out how those pests were getting in, how those maggots. Um, some brilliant technician decided that they were going to kill a beehive by injecting it. So the first thing I said, there's no way you got a dead rodent in this wall. It's up against an exterior wall on a second floor. Maggots all over the floor, coming out like they were live, like there must have been 200 maggots. She's like, clean this up every day. I said, the first thing I asked is, do you have a bee problem? And she said, yeah, I reported it a month ago. How long has this been happening? About a month ago. I go downstairs, I look at the hole, I start inspecting, and I see honey just dripped, dead little bees sticking out. And I said, this section of the roof needs to come up. That beehive is probably 6 feet wide, probably 3 feet in deep. It died, and all the maggots and everything is rotting in there, and that's what's happening. And pest control company couldn't see that. It's bizarre. Smoke detection, we're doing smoke testing. We keep finding these homes. We find it within 30 to 40 minutes. Why they keep having a roach problem when nobody else can find it. My experience in construction, guys, is what makes the difference. Coupled that with home remodeling that I've done, construction, 17 years going on 18 years now of pest control experience. Biology just helps us nail things on the head. So I am the new chief of first impressions. What I decided is, if I can go into that home, make the best impression, do the initial, figure out everything I could possibly sell them, and do an upsell, find the termites, find the weeds, find anything that I can find in that home that will help us make an upsell, so that our average ticket right now is still over $120. Our average value of the average client to us on an annual basis about $9,000. I'm sorry, it's about $900. The value of the average client for us right now. So this is why I'm focused on. I keep talking to everybody, guys. You're killing yourself trying to be average market price competitive, being 5-10%. Forget about the low ballers that are 50% of the market, which I did a post on that this week. I'm talking about figuring out a system, a sales system. You need to create a sales system where you're going in, you're evaluating everything for that client, and you're offering everything that you could possibly offer to that client, and let them say no. I mean, that I can. The biggest problem I see with most technicians that get turned pest control people is that they don't know how to handle rejection. To them, rejection is a personal thing. To me, rejection is just closer to a yes. Every time I pitch it, like I just had one client keeps having roach in this apartment building. I said, I've told you about it. I've sent you the pictures. I've done everything I possibly can for you. I mean, do you want me to do a quote so that I can seal this building up for you? Because you can't get your handyman to do it. Nobody can do it. The roaches are still getting in. People are complaining. Let me do that for you. So I show up to a house and I find there's a crawl space and the vents are damaged. I write up the quote for it. I don't even ask them if they want it. I write up the quote. It's $1,700 to seal this up. It's $2,000 to seal this up. You want me to handle it? It's that simple. You quote enough business, you put out enough estimates, you're gonna get business to stick, folks. It's that's just the law of nature in sales, and what I find is most people detest that. And this is why I just had to give you an example. I just had a guy that I met last month, and he was getting his turned out. We actually got to hang out after he called me. He was getting his CPO for termite also. Well, at the same time as it, but he had called me a week before and said, "Look, I got a friend of mine who has a business. He wants to sell it." I said, "How much is it doing?" It's doing 28. It's a route. It's doing $2,800 a month. Not much. Started asking a bunch of pointed questions. I asked, "Well, bro, how long has he had this business?" He says, "Well, 4 years. 4 years, and all he's been able to do is 2,800 a month. He only got like 20 clients. Um, Something like 20 clients. Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount. Charging $35 and $45 a month for an inside-outside service." I said, "You know for a fact that this business is useless, because he wants 28,000 for it. I'm going to offer him 2,800, because the moment I go in there and I tell these clients, listen, I'm not going to come inside every single time. I'm going to do only an exterior service, and I'm going to pitch my exterior service, why it's beneficial, why it's eco-friendly, why it's all this. I'm not going to call you every single month to make an appointment." He has to call every single client to make an appointment. And I said, and he hasn't been able to grow it. On top of that, his uncle or cousin invested the money so he can start up. He's the one selling it. He turns out he has to leave. And the business, now the guy can't sell that business. It's worth nothing. I just had a buddy of mine that I've been talking to for 4 years since I met. I said, "Bro, you need to get out of selling that inside-outside service every single time." People feel technicians feel that because they're great technicians, they're lousy business people. They're lousy salespeople. They think because they offer this exorbitant value for a very low price that everyone's going to jump on it. And what it does is it raises flags in the customer's mind of why this is so cheap and why he's doing that. And obviously he's new. He must not know. Let's go with him. What the hell? And if it doesn't work, we can always cancel. And I told him, I said, "Bro, you're going to kill yourself. Wait until you have one tech and you have to spend all day scheduling services. Wait until you have to." Now that's where he's at. And we had a long conversation. We actually met. He's taking his termite too. We actually met over there. I've been counseling him for months on everything that I could possibly counsel him on. And I said, "You got to bite the bullet. You're going to have to do this." And he was so depressed. He said, "Bro, after talking to you, I get depressed because I realize how messed up this is now, and what is it going to take to fix it." And I said, "You don't understand is the thing is, you now know it. You bite the bullet now. Tell all those customers, send them a letter. Here's why we're going to switch over to an exterior only service. Why we're not going to do an inside outside. Why I'm not going to call you every single month." He literally spends all of his time just calling clients to schedule business now, where I don't spend any time at all, but about 10% on initials, on follow-ups, complaints, reservices, and oh, that's a brilliant question, man. LPZY84. Actually, brother, we do not use any nitrogen at all on any of our lawns. I know that's going to blow you away, but if you listen to my podcast, we don't do it. Manuel Chorizo. I don't know what that means, brother. But, we never use, we've been blackout ready for 10 years. We stopped using fertilizers. Man, I at the beginning in 2006, 2007 when I started, after 2009, I no longer use fertilizers for lawns. What I learned is how to add, and this is a trade secret, I can't give it to you, how to add the right carbohydrates, the right enzymes, the right things to the lawn in our mix that allows the lawn, itself to produce its own nitrogen. Then we train the customer and educate the customer on cultural practice. Why they need to mow it at a certain height, why they need to mow it at a certain frequency, why they need to mow it with a sharp blade. And if they do that, 80% of their problems go away. If we control the water, it goes away, the problems. So we don't do any nitrogen fertilizer on lawn except a couple of lawns that might have a problem that we need to boost it for some reason, and then we'll do it. We only fertilize palm trees. That's the only fertilizing we actually do. We got some ixoras and some plants that are iron deficient because of our soil. We have calcareous soil, 8.5 pH on the soil. We have about 8.5 on the water. Some areas are 7.5 on irrigation water. So it's very, very calcareous, very high pH. We still don't need it. Because we control the water, we actually set the timers for the clients. We manage all that. It's the only way. If you do IPM for lawn, it's the only way you can do it. So blackout, what we do for palm trees and blackout is we've got our supplier that supplies us with a potassium only fertilizer with micros. And then so we have potassium added. We can add potassium anytime. We don't even do that to lawns right now. We don't add potassium, especially for St. Augustine. And we're in South Florida. None of that is done. And our lawns look great. They look better. I can guarantee you my lawns look better than any national brand doing anything that they're doing. Most people care about the weed control, and they care about not having insects on the lawn that damage it. Very few people can actually afford in Miami-Dade and Broward to pay for rear granular fertilizer if we're going to be competitive at a really good price and be profitable in lawn. If you're going to do $49 lawns or you're going to do $10 per thousand, you're going to burn yourself out. So we're somewhere around $20 per thousand, either on a monthly basis or a bi-monthly basis, and that's how we do it. I mean, that's what we do. And that's what I've been doing forever. And I'm not the single most expensive guy on lawns. I got another guy that's more, except he does granular fertilizer 3 times a year. And that's included. Actually, that's not included in his price. He charges extra per bag, about $150 a bag for fertilizer. But he's somewhere around $24 per thousand on that. I don't know if anybody's got any more questions. That's awesome. I don't know, Manuel Chorizo. You're asking a question, Jay. I don't know what that means, brother. It's funny as hell, though. If you're Manuel and chorizo is a sausage, if you don't know what a chorizo is. Yeah, you're welcome, brother. Anything you want on lawn and ornamental, that's been my specialty since 2006. 50% of our business right now is still lawn and ornamental. It used to be 95%. I was exclusively, I couldn't sell GHP to save my life to any of my clients. So I mean, what do we do? Growing is a bear, man. I don't care which way you slice it. I don't care how well prepared. Look, bro, I used to run $13 million sales territories in 24 states east of the Mississippi. I ran stores. I ran multi-million-dollar stores. I ran stores with 12 employees, and I ran stores with 20 employees. I ran stores with 3 employees. Nothing like that ever really prepares you for ownership and growing and scaling a business. And that's a new buzzword. Scaling, it's growing. I decided not to grow for about 6 years intentionally. That was an intentional decision I had to make at that time. Not to grow. People were like, man, why aren't you growing? Why aren't you growing? I want you to grow. And consultants calling me. And people that know me in the business said, bro, right now I don't have the mind. I don't have the energy. I don't have the desire for many personal reasons. And I decided not to. Now I'm ready to grow. And we're hitting it hard. And it's chaotic because once I open up that marketing funnel, I can't close it. I can't shut it off. All I can do is raise my prices to slow down my growth. But my prices are already really high. My initial services are 3-4x what the market is. But we give exceptional service. and we can justify it with our brand and our USP. Um, we can justify it. We're doing things that other people don't want to do. Like I said, we're doing intrusion detection services, which we pick up the client because we pick up those clients because they say, well, I've had this company, I've had that company. I'm just going to fire the company I'm with. They can't find anything. All they do is come and spray my house and tell me that the reason they can't do it for this reason or another. Says that's baloney. It's because you had a pipe behind a wall that was broken, and if you've been here spraying and you're killing American roaches every single month, they shouldn't be showing up. So, so that's how we pick up a lot of that business. So we're doing a lot of things that other people don't do. But it is right now managed chaos. It's the best way I can describe it. It's because you've got a new tech. I'm working. I've got a new salesperson on the phone, and the way I manage that is, look, I went out with my tech. I said I'm going to give you the basic training. You got basic training. I'm going to teach you how to do everything you're going to do, and you're not going to do anything more for right now. I'm going to take the hit on all these initials, all these startups, all these complicated roach services. All you're doing is maintenance, exterior maintenance only, removing webs, treating perimeters, deciding based on the protocol, do we need to add granular bait to this? Do we not? If a customer complains about ants, here's how you handle the ant problem inside. If they complain about an American roach, here's how you handle it. You're not going to handle any German roach. You're not going to handle flea service. You're not going to handle termite. You're not going to handle bed bug. Nothing complicated. Just maintenance. And on the lawns, weed. Something weird on the lawn happens. Here's the fungicide. Here's how you apply it. We have very little fungal problems on our lawns. We don't apply fungicide unless the fungicide is needed because there's an active infection on the lawn. So we're purely IPM on lawns. Our customers want that. This is why they hired us. I've had customers that we still have their lawn after 17 years. They haven't left us. So it works. But like I have a conversation with all my friends. It's calling me constantly about this, that, and the other. And I says, are you controlling the water? If you're not controlling the water, you're shooting yourself. Yeah, but I don't want to get in there and start dealing with timers and this and that. Then you got to eat it and just apply a crap load of fungicide. If you're going to let the client water every day, and then you want to control weeds, and you want to control insects, and you want to control this, and you're not controlling the water, you can't complain about that. You got to do it. You can't have it both ways in this world. You take ownership of it. You take responsibility. We just had one that it was on 15 minutes a day in the middle of the summer, but that house has a lot of shade. We brought it down 5 minutes per zone. We'll be back out there in 2 weeks, meter in the ground, checking the water everywhere. This is a property that we do that's $15,000 a year for a single family home. It's on Star Island. It's a premium property. These are our clients. And this is why we can generate what we can generate, because that's what we target. So it's intentional. Everything you got to do, you have to have an intention of who your customer is. I made a post about lowballers. A lowballer is not a person that charges the average market price or charges 5% less or 10% less than the average market price. That's not a lowballer. That's a good strategy if you're starting out to come out a little cheap. Do techs leave after they learn and figure out the game and feel like happens more than not? No, my techs actually leave and go do something else. They get tired after 5-6 years. One tech I had was studying to be a physical therapist. So he stuck with me through his associate degree, bachelor's degree, and then when he's almost done with his bachelor, I told him, bro, you need to go and get a job because you're going to be stuck if you wait to get your master's. My second guy was with me 5 years. He's not going to start up a business. Understand, here's the fear that you got to get over, that if you train people, they're going to start up. You got to have the huevos to start up. And what every stat tells me from knowing numbers is that 76% of people say they want to start a business. The reality is only 6 to 11% ever actually do, because they don't have the DNA for it. They don't have the DNA for take the risk. And on top of that, if they have the DNA, but wifey says, no, I need a paycheck every week, they're screwed. And they're not going to do it. So they can learn the game all they want, and they will not leave and start up. They could go work for somebody else. That's always, but the way I pay my people, my last tech was making 70K a year on 40 hours a week. Nobody's going to pay that. Everybody's paying in Miami 36,000 to 32,000 a year to start. I pay 50,000. But I pick good people, and I'm looking for quality people. I'm looking for people that have the aptitude for this, not necessarily the skill. I don't care about their skill. I don't care about. I care about the customer service skill. I care about their driving skills. I care about their attitude. I care about their demeanor. I care the way they carry themselves. What I find most in most of the people that I hire, that they suffer from low self-esteem. Because when I do the aptitude test, that's what constantly comes up. When you have low self-esteem, there's no way you're going to start up. You don't even believe enough in yourself to start up, much less. And what you tend to do, what I find with people with low self-esteem, is they overcompensate by either being impulsive or over talking, and they confuse being proactive with being impulsive. So they just do stuff without thinking, without finding out why they should be doing it. Then you see that constantly with guys that you're like, why did you do that? I don't know. I just wanted to do something. In other words, they're trying to impress somebody by doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So the chances of a tech starting up, it's almost zero, brother. Worrying about that. They're going to go work for the competition. If you pay them well, they're going to go work for a pay cut. Nobody's going to do that. So that's not an issue for me. It never has been. None of the people that I've ever hired, I've had, in 17 years, I've had 20 techs. One guy decided to go into landscaping. And I gave him all the equipment. At one time, I was in landscaping. I got out of it, and I gave him all the equipment, and I gave him all my clients that I had. And I said, bro, here's enough for you to start up if you want to leave. I'm not interested in doing landscaping anymore. So, yeah, man, you find that it's not, yeah, they can learn, and and then it's just like, what you find out more is, like I had, that you train them for a week or two and then decide this isn't for them. That it isn't what they thought. Once you can do all the interviews, you can do all the background checks, you can do everything, but until you put that guy in a truck, and when you put him with you, he's one person. When you leave him alone, he's another person. That's when you find out if you got the right guy or not. When he starts doing things differently than you taught him because he just feels he should, or because he doesn't know how to handle any situation, but when he's in front of you, he says yes, 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 and does everything correctly. And then, wait, why did you forget to add this product? You've been adding, because I believe by training by immersion. A tech starts out with me, he gets in the van, he starts the van, he runs the van, the truck, he does all of the paperwork from day one. No shadowing. I don't believe in shadowing. I don't believe that's a bad method of training. I don't know how people come up with that method. I talk to many instructors that teach and instruct for a living, as I am one of them. And what I find is this total immersion is the way. On-the-job training, total immersion from day one. You mix the product. I don't touch the can. This is how you mix it. You put an ounce of that product in that can. You put half a gallon of water. You put the product. You put it in. This is how you apply it. This is why you're doing this. Then I got the courses that teach the biology, because I have my own academy. So I teach them the courses on the biology, but I teach in the field practical from day one, total immersion. And they can either do it, if I see they can't figure out how to calculate on a bottle that's a tip and pour jar what an ounce is and can't remember that after he's done it 10 times in one day with the same product, and the next day he's asking you, how much did we put of this again? I said, you did it 10 times yesterday. You're not cut out for this. And that's when I have to let people go really quickly, because I realize if they couldn't learn it in a week that they were with me, and they're still asking questions when they did it all themselves and they ran it all themselves on 3 products that they're using, and they're going to use about 5 by the time they're done, it doesn't work. So you need people that can think, and the hardest thing to find is people who can think. That's going to be your biggest challenge, is people who can just think and just remember things. That's what I find, that people just can't remember stuff. I don't know why, but it's just the way it is. So you need to do market analysis, guys. I'm going to harp on this. harp on this, harp on this, harp on this. Um, you need to figure out. You need to call 50, 60 companies in your market and get the pricing, and then figure out how you can be 5 to 10% on the average. So if you take 10, 20 prices that you're going to get on initial, let's say you focus just on German roach cleanouts. You got to do this to figure out where the market really is at. And then what you're going to find is you got one or two guys that are really low balling at $69. Everybody's within 150 to 159 to 160, 175. And then you've got 2 or 3 outliers that are 200, 250 bucks, right? So if you take 10, what you'll find out is 20% are low ballers, 20%, the rest in the middle is your average. And what you can do is decide to be a little bit above or a little bit below that, depending on your strategy. Now, if you're a good ass salesman, like you can sell ice cream, to an Eskimo, or you can sell ice to an Eskimo, then you could go with a low price model at half price for initials because it's a loss leader and it gets you in the door. Then when you get in there, you say, hey, by the way, you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. And you figure that 20% of those customers will buy that, and you end up with a higher price ticket. On the end, you make as much money, but you're gathering more and more customers. Why? Because if you're priced too high, you lose a lot of opportunity, the opportunity of getting new customers. If you're in a growth mindset, you need new customers. And getting new customers is really hard. So if you're clover leafing around a house and you already got that lawn, your biggest expense really is travel time. Are you really going to stick to your guns and say, I need X amount of dollars per lawn for me to do it? And be, in other words, you're gonna cut off your nose to spite your face when you know you're already there across the street. You're there every month, and say, look, I can save you the trip fee if you sign up with me together with this client, but only when I'm here with this client, I can't come for you on a separate date. And then they say, okay. And then you can give discounts. That's what we're starting to do now after 15 years of being in business, and this brand being 10 years old now, that we have, is we're at a point where we have enough profit. We have enough clients that are really high-priced clients that can finance our growth. And, we find that we need somewhere of that $3,000 to $5,000 a month in marketing to grow. And what happens with a lot of people is they never get to that point. They never get to the $300,000, $400,000 a year in business to be able to have that $3,000 to $6,000 a month that they can invest in marketing. How fast they want to grow. If they want to grow really fast, they'll invest 25% of their money. But that means you got to sacrifice an employee and pay them less. I've kind of balanced it out. I kind of get the both. It slows me down. I get 20, 25%. I'm shooting for 30. But now my tech cloverleafs every client. Before, the other tech couldn't because he was doing everything. He was doing cleanouts. I had a part-time tech that quit, and then I had to do a lot of things. So we're kind of like, you're always teeter-tottering. You're always like, you have to change the strategy now because you just lost the tech, and what you could do 6 months ago, you couldn't do now. That's just a reality. You're not. It took me 4 months to replace the tech, but I started out 2 months early. As soon as he told me, and I started out at the beginning of the year doing Indeed ads because I was planning to grow. But what I do is I run Indeed ads whether I'm hiring or not at that moment, because then I start feeling good people out and said, dang, this guy's really worth it because he could do repairs. He has construction experience. I can start up a wildlife division part-time. He can work Saturdays for me, start building business up, and then I build a pool, always have a pool of people that you can call back. And you're not hire him now, but you call him 6 months later and he says, hey bro, are you still looking to switch? You know why I know this strategy works? Because 65% of people are all looking to jump ship. All of your employees, guys, you're listening to me, all of your employees right now are on Indeed, putting in job applications and figuring out if they can go work for somebody else for $2 to $3 an hour more. So everybody's looking to jump ship. I don't delude myself thinking that my employees are not looking for opportunities. So you keep running ads for free, and you run it for 30 days, and you pick up 20 applicants, and you do the automatic interview where you get to see them, Now you got a pool of about 10 people out of 100. And in 6 months from now, you might call them and say, hey, man, are you still looking for a job? You applied. At that time, I couldn't hire you, but I'm ready now. And that's how you're doing, man. Um, so that's the reality. So when you look at the numbers, when you know the stats, guys, when you know, it's kind of like going into a poker game and you know what the odds are. It's kind of like you're going to a horse race, you know what the odds are. You bet on the best winning horse with the best odds. At the end of the day, it's still a 50-50 crapshoot, because when you put them to work, you feel like, yeah, they interviewed well, they had all the right answers, they did everything right, background check is clean, they're a good person, they're a great person, they're just not cut out for this. And it has nothing to do with them, they just don't have the skill set that you need, the soft skills that you need. And that's what happens. You just got to know the game and play it and understand it and not get upset and not be discouraged and not be like, man, what is, you can have two attitudes. You can have the attitude nobody wants to work and everybody's sucks. And then what you do is you attract the law of attraction and you attract people to your life that suck. Or you can say there's great people out there. I just got to put it out enough. And if I put out enough material, if I put enough to recruit, eventually one good person will come my way. See, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So when you're proclaiming bad things all the time, okay, you're basically telling the universe, whether you believe in God, the universe, whatever you believe in, you're basically projecting your negative attitude, and everybody can perceive it around you. You see, so what I try to do is I don't care what the odds are. I know what the odds are. What I care about is that if I put enough out there, if I put enough flyers and I put enough door hangers and I talk to enough people and I go to enough meetings and I do enough SEO and I do enough over a extended period of time, I will have success. The problem with most people is that they'll do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month and say this doesn't work. I prepared to grow in one county in January. I was paying my SEO person in-house almost $3,000 a month to create that entire market, and I was working to build it, and it took 6 months. I wanted 4 months. That's 6 months of investment, where now the investment is starting to pay me off, where now we went from 150 calls that are qualified to about 250 calls a month. You see what I'm saying? So the delusion that it's going to happen faster than you really think is not really there. You have to be willing to stick it out for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, a year, because it really is about volume. It's a volume game. So we went at 2 years ago, when 3 SEO companies tanked my SEO, I went from 13,000 hits a month on my website to 3,000. They totally tanked it. It took me a year and a half just to recover it to 6 to 7, 8,000 clicks a month again. And now Google just sent me a congratulation that I hit 13,000 again. Google is interested in the traffic, believe it or not. They want to reward the good brands, the good businesses. And they're constantly pushing me to do more. And it's not that Google is being greedy. Google understands where the game is. So I'm running ads. I run ads where I get $6 a conversion, $12 a conversion, but I'm not trying to target keywords that the big guys are targeting, because I can't pay $35 a click. But I can get clicks that drive traffic to my site, and I can get clicks that drive traffic to my GMB, visitors to my GMB on the map, and drive clicks to a map that then shows up, and then my reviews show up, and everything shows up to that client. It's a different strategy, folks. You got to have strategy. Most people think, oh, it's just going to run click ads. No. I'm running 3 different types of ads right now. But I'm spending only about $500 a month. You see? And I'm doing Performance Max campaigns on my YouTube channel. because I have 1,000 videos. See, it took me 10 years. When I started back in 2013, I decided I wanted to do X. I knew where the game was long term. And I said in 5, 6, 7 years, this is where I'll be. It took me 10. Right? So we hit 1,000,005 downloads on our YouTube channel. I believe it, brother. Victor, it isn't a lot of wisdom, brother. It's simply doing enough things that didn't work to figure out what does work, but sticking to what works and figuring out how to make the mistakes, which is what people don't have the time and they don't have the energy, the stamina, the emotional stability to just fail at something. I knew that there was two places that I could go to, YouTube and Google. Why? Because Google owns YouTube, the two largest search engines in the world. All I did was focus on the two largest search engines in the world. I didn't focus on everything. I just focused on two things: writing a blog, building out pages, and doing YouTube channels. And if you follow me, you know that I put out 2 to 3 videos a day now. It took me my first 2 years before I could publish 100 videos. Then I figured it out, how to automate it, how to automate my posts, but now I have 10 years of experience in marketing, in SEO, 10 years of experience in doing online content. See, nobody gave me those 10 years. I paid for them. So 10 years of doing what everybody said is stupid. It's because all I have to do is say, what does everybody say is stupid? And when everybody says something is stupid and the crowd is going one direction, I'm going the opposite direction. See, even Jesus said, wide is the path that leads to destruction and narrow is the path that leads to salvation. Apply that to your business. It's called a niche. Everybody's going inside, outside service, $49 a month. I'm going exterior service only, $99 every 2 months. Everybody's going with the regular. I went with eco-friendly. I am by nature, I'm a salmon, because even Ermi, my fiance, says you have oppositional disorder. Basically, my attitude to everybody. Give me a second here, because she's. She just left work, bro. It's 9 o'clock. She's still at work, poor lady. Because I am oppositional to the status quo. That's just my nature. I can't change my nature. Neither can I change the nature of a pest control technician that doesn't have my aptitude. But I have a background in IT. I have a background in programming. I have a background in television. I have a background in radio. All I did is take all of the knowledge I had and said, how do I use it to build this brand? And I just used what I had. If you got none of these sales skills and you got none of the marketing skills, you're gonna have to acquire them. My suggestion to you is work for somebody for 2 to 3 years, become a salesperson, become a manager, become a service manager, pay your dues in learning the business. Learn to get all the way up to a GM if you have to in 10 years, and then go start up. If you don't have any of those skills, you got to acquire them somehow. You can't acquire them from watching YouTube videos. I have over 300 books in my Audible library, but I've been listening to audiobooks since I was 18, when I would buy cassettes and put them in my car, and I would listen to at least one new cassette a month. I would go to Barnes and Noble. I would go to the bookstore, where this is the only place you could buy audiobooks. I don't read. I have ADHD. To me, reading is, I can only read technical material that I really want to extract the nectar. I can't sit there and read a 300-page book. So what I do is I listen to audiobooks, but I was listening to Zig Ziglar when I was 18, 19. I was listening to Tom Hopkins, Harvey McKay, all these old timers. So in my lifetime, I've probably listened to 1,000 audiobooks. When you acquire that much knowledge, all I need is one good idea from those books that I can implement somewhere. You see, yeah, man, you told me you would take about 6 months. If I follow your direction 6 months later today, the phone is not stopping. Not every call is a sale, but an opportunity to sell. Yeah, brother. Thank you. God bless you, bro, because you actually listened. And I haven't been able to do much for you. I've done all I can with the SEO. You took my course and I helped you and all that, and a lot of people are taking my course. If you want to learn SEO, just take my course. You're going to learn more in that course and in 20 lessons that I got in there. Plus, you can join my group, where I'm pumping out. Victor, you saw my numbers. I just posted a video where I showed the numbers where I was and where I went in 6 months. It'll work, but it's kind of like the way everything is in life. Think about this as a rocket ship. A rocket ship will burn 80% of its fuel just trying to get out of the atmosphere. After that, he's coasting. When you can get your business from 0 to 150,000, now you're just paying your bills. From 150,000 to 250,000, if you don't have good pricing, you're going to kill yourself working 80 hours a week. You need to have high prices so that you can drive that growth. You get to 250,000, you can afford to hire a technician. Right now, you can't hire a technician unless you're making 250,000, because you can't live for less than $75,000, $80,000 a year in income. You can't pay out in payroll more than 50% of total gross revenue. So you have to get that business to 250,000. Then after that, you can hire a tech. You're going to still wear the hat of admin, salesperson, and all this, but I already hired an admin. I could not hire an admin in this country. I hired an admin in Venezuela. That took me over a year of me talking about it. Everybody I knew I talked. This is what is important about getting your vision out there. Scripture says, make the vision plain so that everyone that walks by and sees it can run with it. If I was looking for an admin, I already had one that I tried, it didn't work. This one that I got for $150 a week would cost me in Miami $20 an hour. I cut a deal and I said, if you can get me the sales and learn sales and quote the jobs and take every call and quote every job. I gave her the price list. I'm creating a price list. She's taking on new and quoting all the jobs, sending out the contracts, putting them into the system. She can make 5% commission. 5% commission, she'll make more than an engineer. You gotta have a different strategy, folks, when things aren't working. But I speak English and Spanish. I'm in a market where 65% of my market is Hispanic. Where are your opportunities? Stop looking at the negative. Stop looking at what can't be done. What can be done? Focus on saying, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Scripture says, pray for wisdom. Because as everyone that asks for wisdom receives. God does not discriminate, he says, on giving wisdom. But you can't say, I want it this way. I want it that way. I have a web developer now who's a brilliant developer in Venezuela, where I pay $7 to $12 an hour for him to get anything I want done on that website. He worked 27 hours for me last week and it was $250. Would cost me $2,000 here. Can you develop a relationship with somebody in India, Pakistan? I have a brilliant lady in Pakistan that does all of my stacks that I need and all of my um, syndicated networks. Look into syndicated networks. If you need a referral, send me a message, bro. I'll give you her name. Something that would take my guy here a month to do, and it would cost me $3,000-$4,000. I get it done with her for $150, and she'll have it turned around for me in 2 days. She's in Pakistan. If you want to get things done, you got to think like a software company. Every software company has all their developers and all their people somewhere else in the world. I had decided I'm a manager. I've been a manager my whole life. I can manage people. But now I'm a project manager. Now, hey, look, this didn't come out right. We need to fix this and this. He takes it back, but I got to stay on top of it. Read Andy Grove's book, okay? Only the Paranoid Survive. My job is to be paranoid and be on top of everything. I'm an overseer. I'm the pastor of this church. I'm the overseer. I got to know every single text, every single call. I can see it on my phone that she makes. And I can coach her, and I can say, hey, listen, you said this and this. Do me a favor. Go and say this and this to him. See, I don't get involved. Why? Because the moment I get involved, I take her authority away. See, if you want to be a control freak and you're insecure, you will start micromanaging the person and taking over her conversation with the client. I don't do that. I go back to her and I said, this is the way you explain that. And then she goes, and now she looks like the smart one. The customer's never going to ask for me. My tech, I coach them in the home. I said, bro, tell the client this, this, and this. That's my job. Eric, bro, that page is still wrong. Something is off. It isn't looking right. Look, I got to do the SEO on those images because you don't have this up here of what I know about the biology, the keywords, and all this. I can't have them do 20 hours of keyword research. But every single page that I write, I go to Google and I pull every single keyword associated with that page. And I have literally one keyword spreadsheet on one spreadsheet, one tab, with every single keyword on every single page that we're going to write about. If it's about a city, if it's about a new thing, it's about a specific target, you got to spend the time on the research. So most of my time is research and leadership right now. You got to switch over to a management mindset, to a leadership mindset, because I hired a competent developer. I don't need to tell him how to develop. I just need to tell him what I want, and when he misunderstands me, I got to clarify and say, no, this is what I meant. I got the printers, I got everybody working, but you need to be able to manage. And until you can do that and trust people. My text says, bro, as we work this relationship and we build trust, and I stopped them right there and I said, I hired you and I have to trust you. What you need to do is communicate with me before you do anything so that I can coach you, train you, and lead you. But I have to trust you. I told him, take the van home because I hadn't had a day off in 30 days. I'm working Saturday, Sunday, every single day. And I said, I want you to take the van home. He's a brand new tech, $100,000 van. $100,000 cost $48,000 for the van and $50,000 for the build out on that van. And I said, take it home. Because I'm not going to be here. I'm going away on a cruise. I might not be here on Monday morning. You're going to be stuck at that gate trying to get in, and I won't be able to take. And he said, no, but I know, and until we build trust, and he didn't want to I said, bro, I trust you. I have to trust you. If I can't trust you, then I can't keep you as an employee. And when you prove to me that I can't trust you anymore, that's when we end this relationship. So don't prove to me that I can't trust you. Awesome, brother. I'm so happy for you, man. I know you were struggling, Victor. I know that you were struggling, brother. And, bro, believe me or not, bro, I pray for you all the time. I pray for a lot of people, bro, that they don't know I'm praying for them. But everyone that calls me for consultation, I pray for them. And I've been praying for everybody that's calling me, the 10, 12 people that I'm consulting. So, yeah, man. It's not easy. I mean, the stress is high. My blood pressure's been high. I'm taking 2 blood pressure medications, but I've had high blood pressure problems for years. It's not even with the stress; it's just the stress elevates it. Being on the road, time frames, dealing with the tech on the phone, the sales lady on the phone, having to do all the admin stuff that I have to do, little by little, we're adding to the team. Um, you know, I got 5 people working for me right now. So, like, how do you get an admin? How do you get this? I said, bro, get a virtual admin. Find a VA somewhere that can do things that you can't do. You can hire VAs from any company. You can hire VAs in Mexico that speak English. You can hire VAs in the Philippines that speak English. But you got to be a manager. You got to have to develop your management skills. You got to know exactly what you want and be able to communicate that very, very clearly, because people can't read your mind. The biggest mistake we make is thinking that people can read our minds. Nobody can read our minds. So we have to be effective communicators, tell people exactly what we expect from them, clearly, without it can't be left up to interpretation. It has to be intentional, that here's what I expect from you. If you can't deliver this, then I can't use you, and it's okay. And that's how you got to be that candid. But at the same time, you can be kind. You don't have to be mean about it. You just got to be clear. They said, look, if you can't do this, this is what the job entails. If you can't do it, I understand. It's not for you, and it's okay. They're going to make mistakes. You got to live with the mistakes. If you didn't coach, you didn't train, you cannot assume it's common sense. Pest control is not common sense. It isn't like other trades that they go to a trade school and they learn it. This is on the job 100%. There are no trade schools for pest control. There's trade schools for air conditioning. By the time they come to you, they know what a condenser is. They know what a line set is. They know what a capacitor is. They know what an air handler is. They know all of that. They studied it. Nobody can go to pest control school. There's 100,000. There's 500,000 landscapers in the country. There's only 175 or so technicians. There's 5x the amount of air conditioning people, plumbers, electricians, inspectors. Every trade has a school that you can go get a certification in 6 months, 9 months. Pest control is the only one that doesn't have that. You see, it's all on the job training. And you can't assume that anybody knows anything about anything, including moving a refrigerator. My tech just moved a refrigerator, which I never told him to do that, because he's not doing initials. He's not doing German roaches. He saw me do it on a German roach. I said, look, you're checking for large roaches. All you got to do is slide the little card underneath the fridge, inspect it, pull the other one out. He decided he's going to move a fridge and scratch the floor. I got a flooring contractor that I told my client, look, I got a flooring contractor that's going to handle it. He'll go out there, fix it, replace the panel, whatever has to be done, and I'll cover it. That one cost me dearly. First time in 17 years we've ever scratched or broken anything inside a home. I've broken a sprinkler heads with a hose, pipes. I broke a lamp once. It was so low, and I had a truck with a ladder, and you could not see that lamp. And I drove through the driveway underneath the overhang, where the nice thing is, and I hear something crash. I'm like, crap. $400 for a new lamp. That's it. Those are, in 17 years, those are the only mishaps we've had. We haven't had a single claim until now. We pay it out of pocket and call it a day, bro. So, those are the things, brother, that has been happening, and why I haven't done a podcast in a whole month. I did an interview with a brother when we were at the training for termite. Hey, Victor, you need to get that termite license, bro. Okay? I want you to get that termite license, because you got to have high-priced services to sell. You can't live off of $159 initials and quarterly, bro. for $159 and have a $500 a year customer. You need $1,000 a year customer. You need a $1,500 a year customer. And you can do it by add-on services, man. I highly agree on doing outside services for maintenance. It's a relief when doing a route. Yeah, bro. I mean, like I said, I only have to sit maybe for 30 minutes a day to contact people like roach services. We got to contact them, but we do two services. Those are one-time deals. We're doing two services, working, doing two services, maybe three. 80% of people, we get it solved in two, and that's the only time we got to make appointments. And those are very low because they used to be 30% of our business, but I priced this so high that I got out of a lot of that business. Focused more on just single family homes where the money's at. Townhouses, very difficult to do much. Apartments, people with the economy the way it went, rents went from $1,200-$1,800 a month to $2,800 to $3,000 a month in 3 years. People are paying more than 50-60% of their income on rent, even with a two working family. Kids can't get married right now with this economy. They're living at home. They're 28 years old, living at home still with mom and dad. They get married. They have kids. Grandma's moving in. And you have 3 generations living in one home right now because people can't afford. But grandma's getting that retirement Social Security check. And that's how people are buying houses. They're buying houses with 3 families in them. I saw that 20 years ago in the Bahamas, by the way. I was talking to people in the Bahamas. I went there back in, I think it was 2005. Yeah, 2005, I was in the Bahamas, and I had a conversation with a bunch of people, drivers and things like that, and I said, man, it's impossible to live here. If you get married, you got to live with your in-laws because everything is so expensive to live here. There's a 50% tariff on everything. It is cheaper for them to buy a plane ticket to Miami, go shopping, pay for luggage to go back than it is for them to buy clothes in the Bahamas. Milk costs twice as much in the Bahamas as it does in Miami, and we're paying $7 a gallon. That was back then. So everything we're going through, other countries have been living with that for a while. So, yeah, folks, I mean, just pick one thing in marketing. My suggestion is pick one thing in marketing that you're going to do at the beginning and stick to it. If it's going to meetings and network meetings, then go to network meetings. If it's hanging door flyers, it's that. My biggest thing I'm going to tell you, bro, door knocking. I know. Listen, I know everybody is pissed off at every door knocking company because they lie. They don't know anything. They can't tell an ant from a moth. They lie about the competition. They lie about people having problems they don't have. What if you were the most knowledgeable, competent, honest, with integrity, door-to-door salesperson? Don't forget that not too long ago, guys, I'm old enough to remember the Fuller Brush Man. I'm 54 years old. Everything was sold door-to-door. Everything was sold in parties. With technology, but understand this, when everything goes to technology, there's these opportunities to do guerrilla marketing again. I don't know if you ever read the book, but I read every book on guerrilla marketing back in the 80s. So apply some of that. Go the opposite direction where the herd is going. There's underpriced attention out there in every market. It is your job to become a marketer and find out where the underpriced attention is. If you decided to do nothing but buildings, apartment buildings, you should be knocking on every apartment building's door, sending every apartment building a postcard, once a month stopping in with a bag of cookies. Find a bake shop that makes the best cookies and buy half a dozen cookies. And buy 100 of those bags. And start going to every apartment building and going to the management office just dropping off a bag of cookies. Do that for a year. Get the email. Send an email proposal. Send an email once a month. Stop by there once a month. Send a postcard once a month. And pick 500 buildings. That's it, 500. And have a budget of $500 a month. And see how many of those buildings you land in a year. Have a special offer. Say, we'll do one apartment for you to blow you away and show you what we can do to get roaches cleaned out. I used to be a strategic salesperson. That's how I took when I used to sell Christian t-shirts to summer camps. I picked the 500 biggest camps in the country and I targeted them once a month, send them catalogs. People were crazy, like, why are you sending catalogs? They're closed. I said, you don't understand. They got to go to that mailbox and still get the mail. And I'm the only guy that's sending a catalog in the winter who's crazy enough to do it. The other company's going to wait till spring to start sending catalogs. By the time they get to spring, they've already received 6 of my catalogs. They've already this. I was doing faxing with a computer and a fax card, and I was faxing specials when they were closed. And that's how I built it. Hey, baby. Did I? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, I'm going to finish up real quick. I'll be right in. Well, I'm going to get off of here because I accidentally locked the front. Luckily, I have a little box with a key code in the front. And so my cleaning lady, when she comes, she can get in and anybody can get in that needs to. But that's how I did it, folks. That's how I took them not selling any custom t-shirts to one summer in 2 months, filling up the presses with $50,000 of t-shirt orders that they said, you can't sell another t-shirt until August. I said, by that camp is over, I can't sell any more t-shirts then. You got to put in the time to do things when nobody else is doing them and just stick to it. Are restaurants a good target for pest control service? Most restaurants don't want service. You got to go after the big chains. The problem is the big chains are tied up by Ecolab, Steritech, and all these companies, and then you end up with the bottom of the barrel restaurants. So in my opinion, no, unless you're going to target the coffee shops, the small mom and pop coffee shops where there's no fryers, there's no grills, it's just simply basically bake stores, coffee shops, sandwich shops. You can do that, and you can use that same strategy. That will work because you can service these restaurants during the day. There's no spray. All you're doing really is inspecting. You're treating ant trails outside. You're not doing any major German roach jobs where there's not an enormous amount of food coming in. There's not a lot of carbon dioxide being emitted, where you're not having fly problems. That's what I would be targeting, the little hip stores, the hip restaurants that, like I said, are quick service. Food trucks, they do have a percentage of roach service, but, that's what I would be targeting. I wouldn't be targeting, these chain store restaurants that are, grease monkey stores. But focus on one thing, folks. Get a strategy. The problem is everybody's implementing a bunch of tactics all over the place. But they're not implementing a strategy where you have a series of steps that you take every single time, a sales strategy, a presentation, every single time you go in, having a value-added proposition to that. You need to get that into a package, and that's what's going to make you sell. I'm going to sign off for now. This is Frank the Service Geek wishing you a spectacular day.